Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. Well, Good Morning America and other outlets have been putting out redacted crime scene photos, and I screenshotted them. And let's just take a look at the crime scene photos and we can see what we're looking at. So I remember the story about the pong table being knocked over. Well, it looks like these cups here are pretty well in order. There's a couple on the other end that are knocked over, but what does that really even mean in a house where there's parties all the time? And this is a photograph down the hall into Xana's room. And in a 3D model that I have, we can go, I think it's like right around in this area. There's Xana in her room right there, and then if we compare it to that, it's pretty similar. I just don't have the pictures on the wall and the pong table, but she's right there, and apparently she's on the ground there, but you can't see her. This dark spot there, I believe, is actually the oval-shaped black rug that is in the room. All right, let's take a look at the next picture. It's the same one, just a narrow shot of it. And if we go into the room here, that's a closer shot, and there's that oval rug that I obviously don't have it as far towards the door. And then inside the room, her bed is over in that corner, just how I have it. And then obviously we know that Xana was on her back. I created these images before we had that information out there. And then right over here is where Ethan Chapin was on this bed, and he's actually rotated with his head towards the wall and his feet are off the end of the bed, they said. You can't see that in the photographs. So if you go back here, this is the other end of the pong table. There's only 2 cups knocked over. I don't think that table was hit whatsoever. And I think it was pretty lit up in this house at that time of night. Just like the DoorDash delivery person said that the whole house was lit up. And I think it probably was, and just in their rooms it wasn't. So, I mean, it's crazy. He could see easily moving around. But, here's the steps going up. That is the pantry just off to the kitchen. The kitchen's over there through the wall. The good vibe signs. These are the artwork on the wall. And this right here, it looks like it's going to be Kaylee's room. All right, and in this video here, I did not go into the room. But in this video here, I mean, I do have it lit up, and I just go through the entire house. This is downstairs. That's Bethany Funk's room back there. And let me see. I think I can. I'll just make it so I'm upstairs. So this is Bethany Funk's room. And this is upstairs now. This is before I had Xana in the correct position, and the oval and so forth in there. But this is where the pong table was, or the beer pong, and that's Xana's room. And let's see, we go into Xana's room. We're exiting it now. I made this version where there was a wireframe so you could see through to the house. For example, there's where Dylan is over there. Here's the living room again. And then from here you can see there's the pantry, and then the sliding glass door is just right there, and then Dylan's room is right here. And this is inside of Dylan's room. Right there. Her bed and everything was probably in different locations than I have it. And then you can see this is Kaylee Gonzalez's room. Right, so let's take a look. Like, this is a closet area here. Right there. And that's also a closet area over here. And so when you come into the room, it looks like inside of that closet she put her like vanity, a place where she could get ready, and then the window's right over there to the left, and that goes out to the deck, and we can see that, like, if you were just that doorway. There's the deck slider right there, and then she had her desk apparently right here, and her bed I think was probably a little bit smaller and over in this area. So we know nothing happened in Kaylee's room, but I think this is another picture of Xana's room. And this is a desk over by the window, and then that's in the corner, because if this was Madison's room and that was her window, there'd be a closet over here, and I don't see that. So I think this is the west wall in Xana's bedroom right there, and you know, maybe she's on the ground right there and they have it blurred out. I don't know what that is right there. But this makes sense that that would be Xana's room. And then if this is the doorway, then this might also be Xana's room. And these are blood droplets, like looks like passive blood drops, like dripping from an item, because they're straight down apparently onto the wood there. As you can see, they're completely circular. If they were coming in from an angle, they'd be a little bit more oblong shape. And then here's an image of the kitchen, obviously. And I have the sink over here. Obviously, the sink has a 45-degree angle, and it's right there. And you can see where that looks like the DoorDash bag. And it looks different now. I mean, we've seen it where it's been turned around, examined, but I think they came in and took photographs before anybody touched anything. So this is likely what it looked like, and that looks more natural, doesn't it? Like she brings the bag to the kitchen and sets it down, and maybe that's when she heard the noise upstairs. And this is a light switch in, maybe put in the comments what room you think that is. It's pretty difficult, but over here there seems to be some sort of like arterial blood spatter on the wall there. The blood came in at an angle, I believe, from right to left in this image. So it impacts where the large part is, and then the trailing edge is the direction that the blood was traveling in when it hit the wall. So it might have been like the knife was moving, and that's maybe cast off right there. Let's see, but I think this is, let's see, what room would that be? This could actually be Madison Mogan's room, and maybe this is the bed right here to the right, and this is on the wall next to her bed, and this is the light switch that maybe you would hit when you came into the room. And this right here is Xana Kernodle's room again. And this is the bed, and I don't know if Ethan is actually on the bed in this picture. It seems like he's much taller than this. And then I think this might be, this could be, I mean, I was actually thinking it was Dylan's room, but it's not, because there would be a window right over here, unless the window's just off to the right of that. Maybe this is Bethany's room, but I thought we had already seen that earlier. Anyways, we're just working through these. I'm just doing these live. I had to screen grab them and putting them out. This is going through the front door of the house. There's coat hangers right there. This is in the living room. So if we go back to my model here, maybe this one, there's where the couch is, and that's where that image was taken. There's TV there and a little corner nook, and that's that right there. And there's a TV, I think, generally up in this area. You know, this just looks like people were hanging out. This wasn't disturbed at all. Just because there's a cup that's turned over doesn't mean anything. And here's the steps. That's Dylan's room right there on the left. These are the steps that go up to the third floor. I think, maybe not in that image here. Right there, that is Dylan's room, and those are the steps that go up. These are the steps that you're looking at, and then they go up another set of stairs, and then up the top of the stairs is, so when you go up these stairs, you go all the way to the top, that's where Kaylee Gonzalez's room is. Let me go back a little bit. So this is Madison Mogan's room. There's a little closet in the corner here and a window that goes out. Now, I don't know if the light switch, it seems like a logical place for the light switch would be right here. And that's why I think that one picture would be the image of inside the room. Just showing the wall. And this right here is from the first floor, the first set of steps that go up. These are the steps that Bethany, Dylan, Hunter, and I think Emily all walked up to that next floor there to check to see what really happened in the room of Xana Kernodle. But Hunter had already known because he'd been up there earlier and told the girls to get out. Then when they made the 911 call, they went up again, and he was really just protecting the girls from a lifelong, even more traumatic experience, because they would have seen the horror. He kept them from seeing that. Now they don't have to. And these images that are out are blurred and you can't see anything like that. Now this right here on the right, that is Madison Mogan's bedroom. And obviously there's a mirror up there right next to her bedroom. And then this is that bathroom at the top. So I think if I go back just a little bit from here, there it is. So that right there is the bathroom, and there's a mirror right here, and this is Madison Mogan's room, and then there's the stairs that go down, and that's Kaylee's room right there. Now I thought this was really interesting because if you look down there, those footsteps, and even if we go to like Google Earth and we can kind of look down like this, okay, the upper parking lot is back here, and we're looking straight out from the deck, so it goes like that. So these footprints went straight out like that. Now it's possible that these are just investigators who were walking around and were looking for footprints and they created these footprints, but let's say they're not. See these footsteps right here, these footsteps and these footsteps. These could even be the ones that were mentioned in the documents that have just come out. Remember, one of the reports said that they saw footprints in the snow. Now, interestingly, this set here is going the other direction. So is this actually Kohberger's footprints in the snow here when he was coming into the house? Now look, the slider is open here. Obviously it's broken because they had to use chairs to keep it shut. So you might think that these footsteps right here are the killer leaving the crime scene, which is Bryan Kohberger. So he comes in and then exits, and maybe that's exactly what these footprints are, because those ones are going that direction. There's a footprint there, 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 and it's going up back there, and this fence here was there, so then you would go up the hill back there, and maybe on that final pass it means that he walked back up through there and went to a vehicle that was back up in this area. All right, I think that's interesting. All right, let's see, what image are we on here now? That's Madison's, well, actually, I think this is Bethany Funk's room. I think this is either a bathroom or the storage unit on the first floor. So if we go back to this one, right here, and we go down to, let's see, there's Bethany's room. Let me go, I think we had a good shot right there. See, that's her bedroom. I didn't know where her bed was or anything, but see how there's a door right there? And that's what we seem to be looking at right here. So that's her room. I think the bed might be over here to the left, perhaps. It's a pretty decent sized room compared to Madison Mogen's, but everybody's room is bigger than hers. All right, and this is back again, another shot inside the living room. And I mean, it'd be interesting. There's only 2 bedrooms this could be in, Madison's or Xana Kernodle, and this sort of makes sense for Madison Mogen's room, and maybe this is even the bed right here. I don't know if we can see back into the corner. Kaylee would have been sort of right up over in here somewhere, and then Madison would be to the right in the picture, if that's where this image is from. And again, that's the bedroom of Xana Kernodle. I mean, you can see that, like, looks like there's blood all over the place right there. I mean, that's a crazy place to have a, that's almost like there was a battle going on and, got smudged and they still try to get out. It's crazy. One thing I've noticed, though, this crime scene isn't, it's very, there's a lot of blood and blood spatter and stuff like that, but it's not as bloody as it seems like people's imagination of the crime scene is. You see people type in, oh my God, it must have been like this and this, but it's not quite as bad all around through the house as people thought. And I think Kohberger likely, killed people in a way where he minimized the blood spatter on himself. Obviously you can't avoid some on him. So this one right here is also in Xana's room. I think this is Madison's door, and that's blood on the door, and I think it was open at the time. And then there was this picture outside with handprints on a window. So I think those are all of the photographs that, I guess here's another one. This is, I think this was another shot of Kaylee's room, and somebody pointed out on a Facebook page that looks like Murphy is underneath the desk right there. I mean, looks like very scared, hiding in there. There's his nose, etc. So I think if we go to the wider shot, that one right there, it's not as clear, but inside there, Murphy. So when you open the door, he'd be in there. All right. So that is it for the photos that I've seen so far that are out there. I'm sure every minute there'll be new photos put out, but I thought it'd be interesting to sort of marry up the 3D view with some of the images out there. If you see a part that you think I got wrong, let me know. But if you find something in the video that doesn't seem accurate in terms of where a photograph was, let me know. I just kind of quickly went through these, and that's what I'm seeing. I think most of it's accurate, but some of them it's really difficult to tell because you just have like a light switch and a door, a little zoomed in spot on the door. All right, but man, you can really tell these girls, at least some of them, were awake enough to fight, meaning Xana and Kaylee, and Bryan Kohberger's a monster. All right, so for those people out there who still think, oh, he didn't do it, you're nuts. All right, I had a person comment, believe it or not, under my video yesterday saying, how do we know that's his white car driving around? It's touch DNA, Gray. How do we know? Well, you might have made that argument before, and it was obvious, and I could still argue it, prior to Kohberger admitting to being the killer, admitting that that's his car, and that it is his knife sheath. All right? So use common sense, for God's sakes. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you guys later. I'm sure we'll be going over these later this evening if you want to check out the live stream. Thanks for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.